posted on what's going on at our church. And I guess the big news that came across the line last night was at 12:01 a.m. Lyon County has a shutdown order, and so we've been instructed to not gather together. People are encouraged to stay at home. You still can go outside, praise the Lord, the weather's been great, but we're doing what we can to comply with that. And so a couple of adjustments that we made is that the office is closed to the public. You can still come by, and if you want to drop off an offering or a card or something like that, you can do that. We are still available by appointment. You can also make an appointment to use the Resource Center. As you can see, we have plenty of books. A lot of you have some free time. It might be a good use of the time to do so. And I think to maybe answer the obvious question, if there's a shutdown order, why are you and I
here? Yes. and Tyson's running the camera.
Yeah, Tyson's here. Yeah. Well, the part of the reason why is that we are considered an essential service. If you look at the military funds chaplains. Could be rabbis, priests, Protestant pastors. And the reason why they do that is even behind the front lines, those soldiers need soul care. And so we are available to do that. We want to continue to do that, although that's going to look a little bit different. You want to talk a little bit about the adjustments we're making?
Yeah. So as far as, small groups, obviously we're not going to be able to do those small groups, those Bible studies. A lot of them are just going to go to meeting within Zoom groups. So like our Friday morning Bible study tomorrow morning, we're going to meet via Zoom groups. But yeah, as far as, visiting, pastoral visits, I'm doing a myriad of things. I've done phone calls, I've done video chats. I'm going on a hike and we're going to keep our distance. We'll just hike like this with our arms out, and still, do as much ministry with as much normalcy as we possibly can, keeping in mind just, safety and all of those guidelines and provisions that we need to have in place.
Yeah. Yeah, and we've had some great ministry. I know last week we did our first streaming service. That was really well reviewed. Everyone really seemed to like the elder Q&A, and so we're committed to doing it again this week. If you could do us a favor, send some questions ahead of time and just email them to the office. You can put them on this Facebook feed for the elder discussion, and we'll address them on Sunday morning. I know that the heart of the elders is to continue to shepherd you during this time and communicate with you during this time. We miss you guys. We miss seeing you. We can't wait to see you again. And we're thankful for the technology and this chance to interact. I think another thing, people asked about the watch parties. Now, you had a watch party at the Intervene, right?
Yeah. Last week we met at the Intervene and had our kind of watch party and had our discussion groups afterwards. We broke out into a couple of different groups, and I think the students really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. Obviously, moving forward, it's going to look a little bit different. It's going to be families depending on where you're living, but we really enjoyed the discussion groups, and even we've talked even in the office about maybe moving forward and continuing that just as a medium for fellowship around the word and the text that's being taught. So that was really enjoyable. And then last night I did a live stream of youth group, and so I just went on to our Doxa Facebook page and did a live stream message on Philippians 4 verse 4 through 8, and we had a large group of our students that were on that Facebook live stream and some good interaction, and it kind of even spurred them on. They wanted to spend more time together, so they got on and did a Google Hangout call for about an hour or so, and it's really neat. So there's just a lot of opportunities that we can still connect with one another using all of those media outlets.
Yeah. So obviously with the order in place for Lyon County and it's also for Coffee County, we're not going to be encouraging small gatherings. Chase County, I don't know what the status is there, but we just ask you to listen to your local officials and try to abide by that as much as possible. I also think it's possible for you to still discuss this, maybe contact a few friends and get a Google Hangout or you can have a free Zoom meeting for 40 minutes, and so maybe talk about the sermon afterwards. But it's really important that we keep the connectivity going, that we realize we're still in this together. Another question that some people had was about communion and what's our plan for communion.
Yeah.
Well, obviously this is not something that we like. We'd rather do communion with you all, but what we're looking at doing is Easter Sunday, we're planning on doing a communion. Now this is where you come in. You'll be in charge of procuring some bread. You're procuring some bread, but also some grape juice. And if you choose fermented grape juice, that's between you and the Lord. And what we're going to do is on Easter Sunday, we're going to have a time of communion, and everybody has their juice and their bread in front of them, and we're going to take it together. And so if you, for some reason, have a hard time procuring grape juice, talk to the office. We'll try to make some arrangements for that.
Yeah. Hey, just a few other things I thought about. We've talked about Zoom, and how you get connected with that is zoom.com. And, a few weeks ago, hardly anyone knew what Zoom was, and now, half the world knows what Zoom is. So check that out. It's available on a myriad of platforms, both smartphones and desktops, PCs, and whatnot. A little while ago, I mentioned the YouVersion Bible app, and as I'm thinking about just different ways that the body can interact with one another, one verse that comes up often, even as we've talked about biblical counseling, is Romans 15:14. Just the ability and the equipping that the body has received to be ready to minister to one another, to instruct one another. And so, yes, certainly the elders, the pastor teams, we're going to be calling and really being aggressive with that campaign to just reach out to people, both on video calls and telephone calls. But this is a time for the body to do that as well, to recognize that we're all ministers, those of us who are believers. And one of the things I brought up was, reading Bible plans, reading plans on that YouVersion. And I wanted to kind of make a note on this, and this was a helpful pointer that somebody brought to me. He said, hey, you might want to mention that, not all things are good on YouVersion. And so just like with anything, if you consider YouVersion, it's kind of like going into not our resource center, but a Christian bookstore out there wherever.
Yeah.
You walk in and it's like,
ignore the T.D. Jakes books and the Joyce Meyers, okay?
Yeah, there's some aisles that are just, there's poison. There's
Yes.
poison on the shelves. And just like that, on the YouVersion app, there are poisonous plans that, there's a T.D. Jakes reading plan and, Joyce Meyer's reading plan. So exercise discernment. If you're not sure, take a screenshot, send it to one of your pastors, and we will happily walk you through some safer plans to read.
Yeah. The ministry goes on. Some people need pastoral care, soul care. We need each other now more than ever, and we have to fight for the opportunity to fellowship and do good to one another. So far, I have been extremely encouraged by how the church is responding, reacting. Our giving has been really strong, and we know that that's been a big sacrifice for many of you guys. And we're doing what we can to try to make sure that we are intact and that we are stronger on the other side of this. And so keep praying for us. This week, my sermon will be a conviction for conversions. I'm going to talk about 3 truths from 1 Timothy 2:3 through 7 that give our church that give Christians in general a conviction to take the gospel to all nations. And so we want to be forward thinking. Our goal is not to just hunker down and survive. We want to use and leverage this crisis to do what Jesus has commanded us to do, which is to make disciples of all nations. So be thinking in those terms.
Yeah.
So anything else?
I think that's great. Let us know if you have any questions. Contact the office. If you'd like to visit with any of us, just contact the office and we can set that up.
All right.
Blessings.
Grace and peace.